What's up, guys? Welcome back to Street Sense. And as you guys can already tell from the title, that today we're going to be talking about the fashion trends of 2020 and eventually whatever we're going to see in 2021 as well. This is going to be a really interesting one and a lot insightful because today we have a lot of friends together and pretty experienced, and some of them being for a very long time in this world of fashion as well, and independently each one of them having their own fashion labels and streetwear labels as well. So yeah, uh, here they are. What's up, guys?
Hi.
And hi, how are you?
How's it going, Sam?
All good, guys,
Hey,
all good. So just to introduce, over here we have Arnav from No Gray area. Then we have Avishi from ADK. We've got Priya and Amrita from Rising Among. We've got Rishabh from Natty Garb and Dhruv from Almost Gods.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, pretty diverse sort of a panel today. So yeah, what's up, guys? How's everything going, and how has 2020 been treating you guys?
I guess 2020 has been one of the most rough years for everyone, and including the brands as well. Because survival is the only key to just go through this year. That's what we are actually looking for.
Yeah,
And I guess it's just 20 days to go, almost 20-25 days to go, and we are just crossing our fingers that this should be better in 2021. And
hopefully, yeah.
yeah, so that's about it.
How has been your experience, guys? Like Dhruv, Avishi, like specifically, I would like to address this thing. Like ADK was like the thing during the lockdown. ADK was covered by pretty much any and every, the mainline media, the mainstream media as well. So how has the experience been for you guys as well? Obviously, it's been rough, but then when people realize it, how to go about.
Honestly speaking, I think I'm more grateful to for this year. You've got to learn a lot. I think, and more fashion awareness as well. So I'm actually more grateful for this year. Whatever's happened has happened. It's been a learning experience, and I've got to do things which I didn't have time for. So I'm actually grateful that I had that time. Plus, I think on everything, it just gives you a lot of time to plan what you want for your brand, your vision, what is your approach. So I think that's what I've been able to do this year.
Guys?
I think for us, 2020 we went from being students in New York to in Mumbai. Yeah. So I mean, it's been quite up, like a lot of ups and downs, but and adventures and like very exciting. That's what we are started. It's gonna end on a. Hope we're gonna end on a good note.
Sure. So, guys, obviously, after many ages, also, rather, I would say, like, we had like a global pandemic, right? We all were suffering from the same thing. And because of that, there was a very big shift in the trends of fashion globally, and likewise in India also, right? So, what all trends do you guys feel have actually changed, or rather, I would say, what defined this whole spectrum of uh, 2020 in general from a fashion perspective?
Man, if I may, I think this year has sucked in 100 different ways, but at the same time, it's been a fantastic break for all of us to like come back and be like, okay, this is the shit we're doing right, this is what we're doing wrong. And the industry, like you're saying, there's been a shift in how fashion is viewed and how people are interacting with that space. Um, for the first time, I think people have understood the importance of value pieces. I think people are looking to create long lasting pieces, but also people are now, everyone is so sick of being at home. Everyone wants something expressive and loud and
Yeah.
something to go out and create in. So it's a very cool time for fashion right now. It's a very cool time for expression right now.
So,
True.
Arnav?
I think it's also interesting to see how, I mean, for many years now, we've seen normcore and certain ideologies of casual athleisure coming into like your everyday wardrobe. And I think that's now making its space into like workwear and how people are combining workwear with everyday wear, and waist up dressing was a huge trend this year too. So it's interesting to see how people were combining a bit of their home closet with their work closet and that interacting together.
Do you think that's also because, any which ways it was more sort of like a work from home for pretty much everyone? And that
Mm-hmm.
wise, I guess, even in the corporate culture where there was like a staple that you had to wear a shirt no matter what. Like I remember by the time I was like into that space, even on video calls, we were supposed to be like all decked up with our formals and stuff like that. But I think even in the whole world of this, the corporate nature in general, as I said, they were also like pretty comfortable to be understanding enough that it's just comfortable for people to be the way they are, right? So I think all in all it was a support from pretty much anyone and everyone, who because everyone was into this whole same space. So
Right.
what do you guys think,
I
guys?
guess I guess I would call this year a DIY year because I guess
True.
everyone
Yeah.
was at home. You can see all the trends which we can do like ourselves sitting at home. They came back. I guess tie and dye came back into fashion
Yeah.
after a very long time, and I guess there were more than I personally saw more than 10 brands going for that particular trend in that direction, and experiencing that DIY thing. And even we could see some cool collaborations between brands like the Crocs one which was there,
Yeah.
right? So I guess this year we can also call it a DIY year because people actually thought that it was very unsafe to go to your own workshops and do
Yeah.
stuff. So I guess people were experiencing this thing, and then they started working towards it in a way that they can work from home and they can create fashion from home. So I guess
Yeah.
this year can also be called a DIY year in terms of trends, and that's what happened.
True.
That's what I actually noticed in this whole 2020,
That's pretty
especially
much
in this.
yeah, that's pretty much how Rising One also started, right? So yeah, please.
I mean, for us, it was the DIY concept that really started into a brand. And that's like, just completely agreeing to everything that you said. That's exactly what happened. I made my first samples on the machine at home. We worked on them together, and our entirely first like sample making for the entire collection was done with things on her and so on, all of that. So this year has definitely been a lot of personal go to someone else for help. You actually like
Guys,
Amrita,
you're
there's
not
probably
clear
some,
much.
yeah,
Yeah,
Amrita, there's
there's
probably
there's
some
some
audio hitches in between.
problem.
Can you hear us now?
Yeah,
Are
it's
we
better.
sorry about that? So I mean, I just think that we learned a lot from it. All of us, like all of us said, we've been sitting at home, right? So
Yeah.
and to work for such a company, you have a lot of people are working at home. So you have to find new ways of doing things on calls, you have to get samples sent to you, you have to approvals, all of that has to be done by yourself. You're learning things from scratch and you're learning how to do these things by yourself now.
And for us, this learning curve was like immense because being students at the beginning of the year to the end of the year, turning into entrepreneurs, we like it's like a huge elevation and like trying to kind of like running around. We used to run around in internships, but then now we're kind of like running around on phone calls with like with vendors or with our
Yeah.
carigans or like people. So that transition was again another DIY, if you say like we're doing it ourselves. So that was
And I love saying that we're not just like founders or like, I love saying fancy we're the creative directors and fashion designers of the brand, but we're also our own interns right now. Like all of us are doing, the groundwork
every
here.
single thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right, right.
I think
But
that's
I guess
also,
this was this year was also a great opportunity for all the students who are actually enrolled in fashion colleges, that they got a full year just to work from home, and secondly they could actually figure out where to start with, right? So even the NIF students have started. I have seen some of my juniors as well who have started their own labels being in college itself. So I guess this trend has also evolved in this 2020 year, that people are actually getting gutsy about it and they are trying to experience it, just because we got a whole 10 to 11 months in hand to actually work towards us and improve how we present our work, right? So I guess this has been an year of opportunities as well, but at the same time, yes, there has been time for self improvement in this whole year.
yeah,
And me personally as well, I have started taking my label into a direction where I am creating all the graphics and everything for the label, and then creating those artworks and putting it on sweatshirts, which is going to be a staple, and it's going to be easily movable in terms of consumer. So I guess this year has been all about this DIYs, improving yourself, and finding your strengths as well and your weaknesses as well.
True. I think that has also been because a lot of people had the time to invest into their their creative spaces. Like, someone was potentially an artist, dancer, or a singer or whatever. So they could invest that much of time, right? And even a lot of people who probably had that knack of being a designer or something of that sort, but they were probably stuck with their whole corporate lives. So this was like potentially their space. But again, as you said, like, this is something which might go heavy from a conversation perspective. We've seen a lot of brands come in, like, and majorly from students, right? So at the end of the day, but how can we say like they would potentially be sustainable businesses? Not, I'm not talking from a perspective of um, the sustainable fashion. I'm saying how many businesses would be sustainable like that, because we've seen a lot of influx of these new brands coming in, and most of them being having some similar sort of concepts itself, right? Some people are doing tie dye, some people are doing some sort of a DIY, designing hoodies, or even creating masks or something of that sort. So how can we say like how this influx is gonna change this whole spectrum of fashion in probably eventual times also to come? Because obviously, if someone has taken an initiative to come up with a new project, they're gonna stay and they're gonna try to sustain themselves for, say, next at least a year or two. So how do you guys think about that?
I feel if you're bringing something new on the table, you're still going to stand out. So as long as you're bringing something new on the table, you're going to stand out no matter what. So I think as long as anyone who started out, and especially during this time, there is a loophole right now. Like bigger brands like Adidas, Nike, they are not actually launching their new products. Like they're not coming up with crazy drops right now. And that loophole is being filled up by all of us right now, because since that's like an opportunity which we all are taking. So I think, again, if you're bringing something new on the table, I feel that you can still sustain. You have to just create your market. That's the same thing that happens. But again, if you have something new, I think everyone would like to have that right now, because I don't think anyone wants to go for something which is just Adidas or Nike, because right now they are not even coming up with anything new at the moment.
True, but also at the same time, they have a brand value, right? And they have created that with time. So, do
Yeah.
you think, considering the sort of sentiment that everyone has today, wherein everyone is really skeptical and really particular about how they invest their money and where they actually invest their money, do you think it's going to be comfortable for people to be investing their money into a new brand just like that?
See, the thing is that if we see our Instagram handles, all right, we can see every day a new brand is promoting themselves, saying that they are coming soon, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But I guess this opportunity has been given by this year to a lot of people, and I think it's going to be an experiential thing for them, because opening one brand, they can actually experience what all they'll go through.
yeah.
Then maybe if they are not able to sustain it, or if they are not able to contain it in a better way, then I guess they'll obviously start a new one with all the experiences they had with the first one. So I guess it's great that there are going to be new brands every day which are going to be coming out. And when it comes to sustaining the brand and all those things, like to keep the brand in the market for years and years, I guess it is going to be an experience for them rather than experiencing it under a designer,
Okay.
going through an internship, or working for a designer and learning all everything on their own in this time, because the market is obviously low. It is at the lowest
Yeah,
in the
true.
years I have been in business, I guess. And seeing that, I guess people will experience something if they sustain themselves in this year. They are obviously going to come out with rising colors. And that's what the whole idea is. If people are opening new brands each and every day, it's really amazing for the people as well, because they are going to experience something out of it. And then when it's done, I guess when they are not able to sustain it, maybe they'll obviously start with a new venture, and that is going to be a better version of what they did earlier. Like even for me, I have my own label, but I have actually diverse myself into new directions as well. I have done creative direction for videos and everything. So you should be open to opportunities as well to sustain yourself in every way possible. So I guess this year, if we see so many brands coming up, we should be appreciating them,
True.
and then we should obviously see that where they go. And if by any chance, like you are doing, Saga, you are actually helping all the emerging labels who are coming up, I guess kudos to you, man, because
Thank you. Thank
you
you.
are actually providing them a platform where you are actually promoting them to the audience they want to reach, right? And I have seen your growth as well. I have seen you from 200 followers to whatever
Thank you.
xyz number you are at right now. But I guess this is amazing that if you actually help each other rather than just
Yeah.
forming up groups and everything, I guess then brands will surely and surely grow, and
True.
they can sustain themselves in a better way.
I think that's potentially also because of the sort of population we have, because the numbers won't die. The numbers would never die, and everyone needs something to wear, right?
Right.
Sure. So there's something else that I think was a very major part of 2020, which were masks. So what do you
Hmm.
think about that specific trend? I think those literally became like the sneakers of 2020.
Hmm.
So um, for us also actually Rising On started with this. We started with masks. The very first thing I made on my machine was a mask. And having just graduated from FIT with my thesis collection, we'd used reflectives and everything, and that's kind of how we combined our reflective masks and we put them on our friends, and that's actually how we started. And there was this that's how it really boosted kind of this idea that we're doing some cool masks, and like you said, they're the sneakers of 2021. Like people want to wear the coolest and coolest of masks, and
Yeah.
they want to have something different on their face every single time.
And it's also like I mean, I would say it's an essential at this
True.
point. You cannot, and now because people are like start to step out quite a, they're kindly warming up to the idea of stepping out. A mask is so important. It's more important than your clothes. So of course, making it look the best for like that first impression more than your face. Also, it's the mask that shows. So that first impression counts. It's just true because of the mask, how your mask looks, I guess.
I think that's something that Avishi can also talk about pretty extensively. She has
So
been like,
I
yeah,
completely agree with them. It's like your first impression now because now the first thing you notice instead of the sneakers are the mask
true.
now. So I completely agree, but like I think that's how being a streetwear brand, and we just completed a year when the COVID happened. So for me, I think I have this habit of saving all the waste fabric, and that's a habit that's going on from college because I just feel the fabric is too pretty to throw away.
True.
So I save up the fabric, and when this happened, I think we were the first designers or the second designers to actually come up with uh, upcycling face mask.
Yeah.
With whatever material. So whether it was a PU, also we still used it. Whether it was PU, whether it was reflective, whether it was lycra, there was nothing that we said, okay, this can't be used in a mask. We used everything in the mask, and I think that today also for me, I think is doing so well, touch wood,
True.
that people are more keen on buying very fashionable masks as compared to just normal plain masks. So I think that has become a trend now. But I really hope, the normal trends may, overpower the face mask trend now because it's time
Eventually,
for the
yeah,
face
they
mask to
should.
go. Yeah.
Yeah. I think ADK became like a synonym for like the coolest mask in town. There
To
was
be
a time.
very honest, I think I'm very grateful for it. I think because when we started it out, I think we took permission as well from the government. We were the first ones to do it. So for me, I think it was like a responsibility
True.
more than just creating a fashion statement.
I think to an extent, pretty much all of us made those efforts because I remember
Yeah.
talking to Dhruv also, who was like, those people. He was like running around to get those licenses for PPs, and Rishabh likewise as well. So
Yes,
I
sir.
remember that space, and we were also like just trying to figure out ways because, like through from my family also, we used to be into this whole domain of disposable masks and stuff like that. So you're also constantly pushing out, and I think responsibility wise, pretty much anyone and everyone who's over here and probably who's watching, we've made our efforts. So yeah, moving forward, I would just ask, what's been the one thing from 2020 from a fashion perspective that you guys individually loved? Like obviously there has been a lot of things. This something that I hated was the fact that I just could not wear my sneakers. But I'm sure there's something very specific that every one of us loved. What was that for you guys?
I would say the cycling culture, which has started in Delhi right now,
Yeah.
it's amazing to see that, like even like people who are like 40 plus are going for that culture. I think for me, that was very important because I feel like, people are more driven towards fitness now, more driven about their self-care and, self-love. So I think that was very cool to see. And, like the whole, I think I've seen like everywhere, I think every night there you have this whole cycling culture which is going on, which was never there. It was there, but it was just like on weekends, right? So
Yeah,
now it's like,
Rahagiris. Yeah.
yeah, now it's gone like everywhere. Like I've seen like so many people doing it. And I think once you start looking at what they're wearing, you start noticing they're actually wearing really cool streetwear.
True.
So instead of wearing that cycling, cycling shorts or just like a fitted thing, I think that I've only seen people wearing sweatshirts and, going for cycling. So I think
That
that's
became
like
a
a really,
staple.
yeah. So I think for me, that was really cool to see. I think that's something I would love to carry forward for 2020.
Arnav, you've been quite for some time now.
I think one trend that I really liked was the fact that you could go out and meet your friends and just be super casually dressed everywhere you went, and there was no excuse to dress up. So that was really nice to have for sure. I mean, I hope that carries over into 21 as well, where we don't have to overdress to go out and we can go have a meal like that.
True. Dhruv?
Man, I would actually go the other way to say that 2021's helped us realize of the importance of like almost like carefully curating yourself. I think I'm so sick of dressing casually. I want to be, I want to be perfectly curated. So yeah, I think that's my favorite trend of the year.
But I think, on that point, there were a lot of people who actually style even like very basics of their basic stuff. And even their like, how can I frame it? Like even their basics night suits also, they style them up like so comfortably and in a very proper way that it did not look like that. Because I've seen a lot of people like carrying the same sort of an attire during their, meetings or stuff like that. So I think that also has like people have given a thought as to style how, just their basic style statement even when they're sitting back at home. I think that's been cool enough.
100%, man.
Guys?
True. I think I agree with you completely.
Yeah. So Riya, Rishabh, the trends for you guys from 2020.
All of you guys, but like comfort has been the biggest trend of like 2020.
Yeah.
And that's what I think we're like carrying forward, but like trying to make comfort super expressive and like super like statement comfort pieces is what people would be kind of like going for, I guess, right now, because of course they want to dress up, but then they're so used to being comfortable. Like I dreaded the first time I really had to put on like a pair of jeans this year, because I've been in like shorts and pajamas and like just like super casual comfortable clothes. So I feel going on also it'll take some time for people to get into like those fancy formals and like like a suit, or even like a lot of like even dressing up for like Diwali being like an Indian festival where people are like always like decked up. I felt like it was a little effort. So even the comfort where comes in like even Indian ethnic clothing, we could like have that in. So
I think one of my favorite trends is, I actually have to agree with Dhruv here. I could wear anything anywhere I wanted. Like I'm usually like, even if I was going to the kitchen, I'd put on a dress. If I was going to like her parents' house, I'd come like one day I'd completely come in like oversized clothes, and auntie would be like, "What are you wearing?" And the next day I'd look like an actual like I'd wear long dress with skirts. So like I think the best part of 2020 is it's become a no judgment zone, where it's like almost anyone can wear what they want. Depending on how comfortable they are. So if you're a t-shirt person, you put on t-shirts. Sagar, honestly, you can even wear your sneakers at home. Like you won't crease the best part.
I can, but sandals are just more comfortable. Simple. Yeah.
It's just like I love the no judgment zone that started in 2020. Like,
but Like, right, true on that part, wherein also we saw like a lot of people dressing up for themselves rather than for a specific occasion or for a specific meet and greet or whatever. Whatever people were doing, they were doing it for themselves. So I think that made more sense.
And
I
also,
guess this was the only year. This is the first time of 2020 I have put gel in my hair. The first time. So you can imagine how much of casuality in terms of
True.
I would second with Dhruv, I guess, because I'm actually waiting for 2021 to actually put on all my clothes which were actually new, and they are still new in the wardrobe right
Yeah.
now. And even the ones which I created for the label, I want to wear them, but I feel like it's going to be wasted, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm actually waiting for, and I'm just waiting to perfectly dress myself, groom myself in the best way, which was earlier before 2020. So being casual, it's good, but it's being very boring now. I think it's not going to give you any excitement to go out or any of the stuff.
I
You should
actually
be.
put on
Yeah,
my
sorry.
jeans. I actually put on my jeans once in a while to make sure they still fit. Like I do that every once a week. I do that at least so that I know they fit. Like, okay, so I can wear them next year.
Sure. So obviously, like we,
Can I just pause for
yeah,
a second, because flip side, I'm perpetually in these.
sure.
I'm never not in these, so I stand on the opposite side of this.
Those are dogs, right?
Those are dogs.
Yeah, yeah. So obviously, like we've talked about the sort of opportunities that 2020 brought for the whole fashion world, specifically for the aspirational designers and people like that. So, but obviously, like from business perspective, a lot of brands faced a lot of issues, a lot of hardships. There were limitations, but at the same time, the fact that you had to sustain yourself, no matter whatever you guys do, you had to sustain yourself as brands. So what was that experience like? Obviously this is not something which is gonna be relatable to Rising Among and Arnav, of course, but Natty Garb has been in place for quite some time. Almost God has been in place for quite some time. So has
For
been
sure.
ADK. So what has been that experience for you guys to
Wait,
sustain the brand?
there were problems in 2020. What happened?
Yeah,
Huh?
yeah, yeah,
Huh?
yeah. It's okay. It's completely fine. There was nothing happening. It was just like, ठीक है घर पे बैठे हैं.
No, I think rough start to the year. A lot of our plans just fell apart.
Yeah.
But while you're talking about business slowing down, I would actually say that what's also happened is that new markets have come up.
True.
Really, just unexpectedly, we've gotten a lot of traction from outside India. We've actually opened our first retail store, which I'm in right now, which is
Yeah.
at FTC in
FTC.
Delhi, which is just, people are chilling here right now. And there's an event going on upstairs. So business has sucked for a long time, and it's been very awful and very scary. But the second half of the year has picked up, thankfully, made up for it, and we're back on track, man.
True.
For me, I guess it has been a rough year, because there was a lot of plans which were in the pipeline for this 2020 year. And suddenly I just came back from Paris, and lockdown happened in India, and lockdown happened in Paris as well.
Yeah.
So it was like a situation where I would have not taken a flight. I would have been in Paris till now. With and I would be living on the road, because I guess I would have spent all my money, staying there and quarantine myself
Yeah.
there. So I guess there were a lot of plans which are there in 2020, but I guess somehow it took me 2 to 3 months to actually make myself realize that this year is all about surviving. And even you would have noticed, Sagar, I came up with not a physical product, but rather
Yeah.
I actually added a new category which was there, and which I explored, and which was, I think it is much better than for the cost effectivity and 3D illustrations. So I guess
Yeah.
for the 3D, when I did a pre-order, this was the first time I did pre-order thing, pre-order schemes and all that. So I guess it turned out really well when I just put out a 3D illustration
Yeah.
of 3D modeling of the garment, and just took pre-orders on that. And I guess it worked wonders for me, and I guess that gave me a lot of confidence that yes, this can also be explored in a better way. And there were a lot of international platforms who were actually promoting 3D illustrations of the garments, and we came into their eyes, and they also promoted us, so we got an international audience as well. And recently we have also collaborated with a website which only sells 3D illustrated garments.
Yeah.
So I guess this has also opened up a new opportunity for us. And uh, in terms of survival, I guess half of our things are outsourced, half of our things are in house. So I guess we were actually planning a big in-house production area where we could do customs as well, so that it will be possible to grab that
Market
part of
as
the
well.
audience as well. So everything was in the pipeline, but I guess I've already told you that we have a lot of things planned for 2021, hopefully. And let's see how it works out. But this year, yes, it has been tough, but I guess during the Diwali time, during this new collection capsule launch time, I guess it somehow made it very moderate year for us.
Yeah.
And I guess I feel blessed that I could actually explore more and more in terms of where my brand should go. And I have sub labels also planned for this, so I know how to, the whole planning has been done in this year to give out a better experience even to the consumer, even
Yeah.
to the people who are going to visit the website soon and everything. So it's all planned up in this year, and we are going to blast it on the 2021 year.
I think these are the sort, these 3D illustrations, as you said. I think these are the sort of solutions that eventually come by only when you're stuck in a specific situation.
True.
Right? You won't just go out creating 3D illustrations if you have a physical product in your hand, and if you have like that threshold of having those products in place, right, even before you get all those orders.
See, going through the whole chain of how the product should be presented to the consumer, it goes from sourcing the fabric, designing it, then spending all that money on your sampling, and then getting a proper shoot done, and then making it Instagram worthy, and then putting it out there. So you have to know the chain which you're going through, and that chain actually costs you a lot.
True.
So when that chain costs you a lot, you're actually you're stuck with the idea ki yaar, this will work or not.
True.
All right. And in this 3D illustrations, we could do everything on the computer and the laptops itself. So uske andar we actually experienced that I had no limitations in terms of that.
True.
All right. I could place a scuba fabric, I could place a terry cotton fabric, I could place anything on that 3D illustration. And Dhruv, you're not able to hear anyone?
I think, Dhruv, it's from your phone, it's been muted.
I think he should actually reconnect his AirPods.
Yeah.
So I guess
Just message him.
this 3D illustration does not have any limitations to it, and it's obviously going to be a win-win situation for the consumer as well, because I could add any background to the illustration, and make him go on a Mars, make him go on Moon and everything, and
True.
that had no limitations for me. So I guess that worked pretty well for me, and it gave me a really different content than what we used to post on Instagram. And so that's why, so looking at the chain right now which we go through, I guess that was, and there's this thing with me as well, that I cannot shoot a product on myself or anyone era something like that. All right. Because if you have maintained a standard of your brand somewhere, you have to maintain it for the rest of your time. You cannot put out content and then just face those stuff like people are going to be, there's obviously a standard that you set in terms of your first post that you put out, right?
Those basic brand guidelines as you usually have.
Right.
Yeah.
So gradually.
But also, Rishabh, this is like something that I wanted to know. These are all 3D illustrations that you've created, right?
Right.
Eventually, the end product, however it comes out, there's always at least a slight difference as to how you've actually shown it and marketed it out initially, and then the final product as to how it looks. So, how do you counter that?
All right. So I'll tell you how did I counter that. So I took the basic thing, the staples which were there. I took the joggers and I had a sample made with me. So I went on with that. Secondly, I chose the sweatshirts which were there. All right, screen printed sweatshirts. What wrong can go in that?
True.
It doesn't have a different silhouette. It doesn't have some odd kind of embroidery, or it doesn't have an odd kind of fabric which is like some kind of shiny polyester or something like that. It just has a terry cotton fabric, 320 GSM. That's what we put in the system, and that's how it goes out, right? So I guess I
You just
have
have to be
taken.
particular about what you're picking and choosing.
Exactly. So if you're presenting some kind of uh, garment through 3D illustration, if the sample is made with you, it's a win-win situation for you. If the sample is quite tricky in terms of silhouette and in terms of printing and everything, but I guess if it's very simple, like a printed T-shirt over cotton or maybe any fabric which is just a plain fabric without texture, then I guess it is a very good situation you are in to actually present yourself with a 3D illustration.
True.
So I guess that would actually give you an edge in terms of presenting yourself. And there are going to be a lot of platforms which who are going to actually appreciate that kind of effort from your end.
Yeah.
So I get this is how I actually, this was the first time I could not mess it up, like put out a trench coat with a merino wool and with a proper patchwork or embroidery in that, and that would have been a tricky thing for me, that when the consumer would have got the fabric or got the garment and he would have said, yeah, what is it, what shit is this, I experienced, I actually thought that it's going to be like this and it came out to be such crap. So I took a safe road because it was something which we were going to experience in a new way, and it was new to me as well. I did not know any software limitations or anything. I had people in my team who did all this, and I would like to thank them because they have been a great support to me in this 2020.
Sure. So, guys, I think on one side we've seen like market being so fragile that a lot of brands were struggling, right? Obviously, we have ADK, Natty, and then we have almost also over here, like who've had their fair share of limitations and hardships that they've seen. But at the same time, we've seen like these new brands emerging, right? Rising Among being one, No Gray Area being the other one. So what was this opportunity that you guys saw that was potentially in this specific type of a market at in this situation? Because obviously the word was pretty much around, everyone knew as a matter of fact that everyone was struggling, but still that that idea of initiating a project as a whole and dropping it right in the middle of lockdown or pandemic, as I may say. So what was that idea, and what's this opportunity that you guys saw?
For us, like personally, also the drive was like coming from within, because we had just graduated from college and been sitting at home not doing much. That was like, it felt like we really needed to, like, even Arnav has said that our plans were completely like changed, like things drastically for us. Even we took a flight, like we took a Vande Bharat flight from New York, peak pandemic, to Mumbai. And both of us had been at home. We're not two of us are not used to sitting and not doing anything. Like we just I can't, like, even if I have a Saturday off day, technically I'm still thinking about, I know how, what's the next post, like, what's the next content we have to create, what's the next design. So that being said, when we came here, we both have always been surrounded by people who were in the streetwear market. My brother has been an inspiration for me. He's like one of the biggest hype beasts I know. All our friends are like very much into that culture. We've always dressed in that way as well, like, big t-shirts, jeans, like oversized culture. Also being from New York and seeing that streetwear culture in New York, it definitely felt like an obvious standpoint for us to come here and come into the streetwear market. There's definitely something that we brought in with our very first collection, which was that true upcycling of creating something completely different out of one piece. Like our very first collection was turning denim pants, like jeans, overstock, dead stock, which we took from factories, and turning them into pocket tanks. So it's a zero waste product. Like every single part of the product was used, not a single part went wasted. And like this was the collection that really kind of put us out there, where we were like, we're definitely seeing this idea of upcycling and thrifting combined together to create a brand of reworking. So our brand, like ethos, like the bottom line of our brand is called reworking. So, even if you are introducing fresh fabrics, it's about reworking them with other elements to create something that was different and that stands out.
that kind of gave us a push because our audience also wanted something different. They wanted to stand out. People, even if they were sitting at home, nobody wanted to wear, like pajamas and sit. People still wanted to look pretty. People wanted to be Instagram worthy from the home.
That's when our
Second
second
collection
kind of drop happened.
happened.
That was like, it's called Homegrown. And that came like, we're Instagramming, but we're still at home. We saw all these young artists and like influencers, bloggers, whatever you want to call them. They did pairing things up in new ways, like, one iconic piece, and they're using it in like 5 ways, 7 ways. They're still at home, but they're still, trying to make the most of what they have, right? So even with us, like with the pieces, when we started out with like the upcycling pieces, we tried to make the most of what we had in hand, even though it was a very difficult situation. We struggled a lot in terms of like even getting the smallest of things. Like we didn't know, and moreover, living in New York for the past 4 years, we had little idea of like how the Indian market works in terms of like fabrics or like getting things done and those kind of things. We learned all that through the way. So that was in it itself, it was not all good. It was still very difficult to get the drive on, especially coming back home from there and getting into motion with all of that. But still we kind of made the most of
and we
what
definitely
had.
like whatever we present, we definitely have a few pieces that are hits, and then few of them they miss the mark. As we release from part 1 to part 2 to part collection 3, which is coming in like a week, it's been like a test kind of thing. So you first tested with our denim collection what was working for us. Then you test with your second collection what works, what prints work, how's your audience reacting. And I think that's the most important thing for any brand from 2020 going into 2021 is always make sure you're studying your market and
To
your
sustain,
audience.
like we spoke about before, to keep our brand sustained for a long time. We
Yeah.
really are intensely wanting to study what our consumer wants and how can we provide them that in the most cost-effective, sustainable, best way possible.
And like, I mean, Natty Garb, like you just mentioned how your brand like evolved. You presented illustrations because you didn't have like, it was very difficult for all of us to find models and safely do something. So you gave the audience something different. So like that being said, as a whole, as brands, we can't continue doing the exact same thing, even if it worked for us last year. Like innovation, like Avishii said, innovation, something new is definitely gonna take us forward, and that's kind of how we've gone from collection to collection, because each of our collections has been trying to see and push our audience to something new.
Arnav, what's been for you?
So we were actually supposed to launch this brand in February, and we were I think a month and a half out from our launch event. We're going to do a physical launch event, and this is a brand we've been working on for 2 years, and we had a whole plan in place of a physical event that we're going to launch this brand with. And at that point, when we were planning the event and everything, we had no idea that COVID and this whole pandemic was about to come about. And obviously, like I think literally a month and a half right before we were going to invite everyone, we scrapped the event and we had to go back to the drawing board and say, okay, let's delay the brand launch. And we delayed it for as long as we could. And for us, it was more of the fact that we'd planned the launch earlier that year and we had all the stock with us. And at that point, the perspective we had was that you have a huge consumer base that can no longer travel. They're stuck in India at home. And eventually, as things open up, they're going to want to dress up. They're going to want to buy new clothes, and they still can't travel to other countries. So the perspective being is that this is the perfect opportunity to launch a casual Indian label within the Indian market, because you have a lot of young people wanting to shop, and there's nowhere for them to shop at this point. Obviously, the pandemic changed consumer needs drastically. Like people obviously are a lot more cost conscious. And they went from being very occasion oriented and being very loud and expressive to a bit more minimalistic and kind of appreciating the basics a lot more. So that's a huge transition, and that's something that's hard to adapt to when you've already designed and manufactured a collection as well. So it's interesting to see how brands have responded to that as well. But it's obviously a tough year, and it's interesting to see how everyone's adapted and reacted to that and been really strong with everything.
True. I think what we all have seen from a brand's perspective would be that, we can have potential consumers, we can have potential customers. They might not buy our stuff today, maybe 6 months down the line, maybe a year down the line. But as of now, everyone had ample of time to connect to a brand and to connect to the persona that the brand has and to connect to the aesthetics that a brand has, right? So I think that has been like a boon in disguise, because everyone had ample of time to like just go deep inside. Earlier what used to happen was people just used to go check out the designs, check out the products, and they like it, fair enough. They don't like it, they move ahead and they find someone else. That was pretty much the idea, and that's pretty much how fast fashion also works. But when we want to promote a homegrown label, and specifically in a space wherein we already have these fast fashion labels like H&M and now Uniqlo also coming back in place, right? It's pretty hard, and it's pretty hard for anyone, like specifically like because we are trying to become like a catalyst in between a brand and a consumer in our small little ways, right? So we know, as a matter of fact, it's really difficult for us to tell people that, okay, if you want to buy something of this sort, might as well just go ahead and support the homegrown labels, which would be better, from a quality perspective, from design perspective, this, that, and whatnot. So I think now we had those ears. This time we had like all those eyeballs wherein we could actually attract people to us. And maybe they were over here just for fun, but eventually we've seen a lot of influx of people wherein people were attracted towards homegrown brands as well. Obviously the shift will happen slowly only, and the number is very big on the other side of the domain, but slowly and gradually it will definitely happen. Yeah, that was pretty insightful, rather, I would say, and went a little serious. So if I have to ask you, how has your personal style evolved in this whole situation? Like, I'm sure every one of us had like their staple ways of styling themselves, and the staple ways of going out as looking a specific way. So how has that evolved individually?
Who do you want to answer?
And like all you guys, like, come on, let's go.
You should ask a particular person.
Let's
All
let's
of us are
let's
like shut at the time you're asking.
no. Let's begin with Dhruv.
How's my personal style changed? Not much. I, I don't think Corona has affected my personal style. I've definitely grown to appreciate, I guess, silhouettes more. I spent a lot of time studying Margiela this last few months. So with Margiela, you grow to understand a little bit more about silhouettes, a little bit more about how to construct garments, a little bit of time spent with Raf Simons. I mean, it's construction silhouette, which I think I've grown to appreciate more, but my personal style hasn't changed much.
Okay. So we can expect you to be dressed up in almost gods pretty much even when you're at your place.
I think I'm perpetually dressed up in almost gods.
Yeah. Avishi?
I think I just have an additional hand sling. That's it. Everything else is there, the same. So I think the additional is just the hand sling. So I actually got one, I think, because I was supposed to get that one. And I think then I started creating them in just colors for myself. So like there was a neon green, then I made a lilac. So I think that was my only thing that's added in 2020.
Those are pretty much the perks of like actually owning a fashion label.
Yeah,
you can try and test everything on yourself.
Yeah, you can just create some fashionable hand slings as well.
Yeah.
So I think that was like a fun part to do. Yeah.
Yeah. Arnav?
I think one good trend was I think you get really bored of your closet after a point. So like trying to pair things which you didn't think would pair before. So trying new combinations of things. And I think also like I wear a lot of athleisure. So kind of combining that with formal wear because I got sick of dressing casually, like a lot of people here said also. So like really seeing just like forbidden combinations come together and trying to reinventing your closet in different ways, essentially.
Yeah. Which one has potentially been like your, for consumers, if we see you, like probably you are comfortable in it, but the weirdest combination that you've come up with?
Like I would wear like really nice gym shorts that are really, really nice with like a shirt, for example, and would lounge around the house doing that.
Okay. We would love to see that on gram though. Yeah. Ria, Amrita?
Yeah, I was just adding to what Arnav said about like reinventing and like, pairing. But then what I would say we just like took stuff from our wardrobe, cut it up and made new things out of that. So we did a lot with a lot of pieces, like trying and testing, not just our wardrobes, our parents, our families, our friends. We just got in as many clothes as we could to, patch, rework, and like cut up and make clothes for us. So that's what.
Yeah, and personally, I think I went from being that like very preppy girl who like go to like classes wearing like those really tight clothes, really like frills and ruffles to like super oversized menswear. Like I have this new love for menswear, like so comfortable, and definitely got myself into the sneaker culture after coming back, which is my mom's biggest nightmare now. So I think that's something that's definitely changed.
That's a different level of addiction. Yeah, true. Rishabh?
I guess I'll be very honest in terms of my personal style. The day we actually experienced the lockdown, I went to Jockey and I got all the basics t-shirts they had in extra large. All right. And I got myself all the kind of checkered pajamas they had. And I guess that has been my only workwear, homewear, loungewear, whatever you can call it. Even going for the market, I guess I used to wear that. So I guess I have more than 12 to 13 basic t-shirts now,
Yeah,
maybe of different colors. And the second, I have more than 10 to 15 joggers, which are checkered and
yeah,
plain. So I guess that has been my style this whole 2020 year. That is what I told you, that this is the first time I have groomed myself for a video call.
yeah, yeah,
Earlier,
yeah.
I used to do that as well.
I think
So I guess,
I think a lot
yeah,
of
yeah.
platforms were trying to, teach their audience or tell their audience that okay, you can, there are so many ways to style your basic black t-shirts or your basic white t-shirts. And I think during pandemic, everyone explored that themselves. So we don't really have to talk about that, I guess, anymore.
True.
True.
But I guess in terms of style, oversize has obviously taken over all the fits which were
Yeah.
already existing in the market.
Yeah. I think probably potentially that's only because it's just more comfortable. It's just more breathable. What do you guys think?
I agree.
No, I 100% agree, and like it also kind of lets you hide on lockdown weight on the inside, so you
Yeah.
can put on whatever. There'll be days when I'll tell them, "Mom, oh, today I dressed like a girl," finally, because like I'd be wearing all these oversized clothes, and and it's a nice way to kind of have everything all at once, because you can put on anything and just be comfortable, hide whatever you have gained or anything, and you're just comfortable in your own way.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
big difference.
I'm sure hiding those gains have been potentially the most important thing during this lockdown. Yeah, I think all of us have faced that one way or the other. Sure. So again, something for for the guys who have been over here before the pandemic, right? So what is the difference in the audience response that you guys have seen, like before pandemic, the way they used to respond to your drops and everything, and eventually after that? So what's the sort of difference that you guys have seen?
Exactly in what terms are you asking?
Like say
For example,
the buying power, or say the way they were probably accepting your stuff. I don't know, maybe they are more comfortable with your content today, but they were more comfortable with your products earlier or whatever. So it's obviously different for different brands.
I guess this was the first time that we actually initiated the pre-order scheme, which I already told you.
Yep.
I guess people actually, gave a positive response to it. But and secondly, I usually the price points of the brand are too high.
Yeah.
So this was something which we did for the people, keeping in mind our situation as well, what kind of spending power we have right now,
Yeah.
right? What kind of thought process we are going through in terms of buying stuff. And rather than putting out a sale, or putting out very steep markdowns in terms of clearing our stocks,
Yeah.
I guess pre-orders worked in a better way and people did respond in a positive manner. Secondly, we actually focused earlier. We did not focus much because we did not had a direct to consumer connection before. But this time when we had it, we actually focused on the packaging as well, to give someone an experience sitting at home, that if they ordered something even from a direct message, which people usually do not actually, let's say, are comfortable or feel secure to order.
Yep.
All right. So we gave somebody an experience to actually receive a garment, opening it with a very thoughtful process, and going through the experience of opening the garment and then looking at it, because it was obviously a surprise for them looking at the 3D illustration and then finally seeing the product when
Yeah.
even I haven't seen the product myself, right? So I guess that has been really amazing. And the response when the person received it, he's stating that it made me connect to the brand even more, and it somehow gave us an edge, a confidence to actually make our consumer feel the same each and every time. So there was this guy who actually said thank you for the masterpiece. I guess it made my week.
Yeah.
It made my week in a way that I was very nervous about the person receiving the product, and at the end of the day I'm receiving such overwhelming and warm replies from the person through the DM itself. I guess that actually made my week, and that actually made me very happy to actually be sustaining in this 2020
Yeah.
year.
Yes.
So I guess this has been there. So that's the perfect answer for the question you just asked me.
What has been that with you, Abhishek?
To be very honest, I feel I got good response when we came up with this, the capsule collection, which was based on the Friends TV show.
Yeah.
And I think the reason why it came out, like, I think as a good response, because it was very relatable. So, it was shot on my own friends. I did the whole setup. It was shot on iPhone. So everything was very relatable for people to understand. And I think, to be very honest, I feel the brand has grown even in this year. Like I felt, first I used to always think that it hasn't, but it has, in terms of, that face mask idea which we came up with. I think that has really made us reach out to people who are not even in streetwear, like,
Yeah.
who won't even like streetwear. So I think, and they like the mask. So I think that somewhere or the other we were able to target that kind of audience also in this year. So I think that was a great thing. Along with it, of course, the sales have been like a roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
But I think, especially now in December, it's going really well because I think everyone wants to just wear tracksuits.
Yeah.
They want to wear tracksuits, they want a hoodie. So I think that has been like now, because I think earlier, if you even, I think the streetwear culture was there. But I think now, even like I'll be very honest with you, I have like a 45-year-old person who's ordered like a tracksuit from me, and like a whole neon tracksuit. That was pretty shocking to me. But I think now, because they want to wear their tracksuits and roam around, I think so that's become a big trend at this moment. Like I think even if there's nobody on the streets in Khan Market, everyone is just still wearing their tracksuits and roaming
Yeah.
around. So it's become, I think, more of a comfort wear where my brand has really taken over. So I feel I think that connection has been able to build up more this year with people.
Sure. And I think just the way you said, I think this has also helped in diversifying the audience that we potentially had earlier. And now
Exactly.
people were more accepting of certain things. So just the way you said, masks being the staple, so you attracted them, but now they're connected with your brand. So now they'll
Ex-
go for the Friends collection.
Exactly. So, like, even if somebody is coming up to me and ordering, so, like, we do not have a website right now. We are coming up with our website next year. But, we get DMs every day for the face mask. So I think that has been very, because I think even if a customer is wearing it, I think they're automatically, organically posting a story. So,
Yeah.
from that, we get a couple of more people coming up and, asking us, oh, we want the same face mask.
Yeah.
So I think that has actually helped us to reach out to different sorts of markets, not just especially in Delhi, but
Yeah.
all over India.
True.
So I think that's really helped me. Yeah.
Sure. Okay, I think Dhruv is not here, but this would have been really relevant with Dhruv also, though. He's gonna join us back. Yeah. So I think we've pretty much talked everything about 2021, 2020, right? But moving forward towards 2021, what do you guys think would be the fashion trends that would follow, and probably the new trends that we might see?
I think in 2020, 2020, like definitely, as all of us have mentioned, like there's definitely been a roller coaster of sales going up and down, right? Because a lot of people, like the economy was harmed, like people
Yeah.
around the world lost their jobs, right? So income was not coming so well.
Yeah.
So that's gonna shift in 2021, where people who could not spend or could not dress up in 2020 will definitely do that next year. So like everyone's really hopeful that the vaccine comes out. So
Yeah.
there's definitely gonna be a change in the consumer where like there's gonna be a time I feel where sales will rocket, and everyone's gonna want to spend to go out.
So
That's a trend that's gonna happen. Like the spending is definitely gonna go up. And like Leah said, I definitely hope that the casual streetwear comfortable thing continues a little more, because it's gonna take people a transitional phase to go from there back to next year, maybe sometime in November, December, to go back into preppy dressing up again.
yeah.
So I feel like it's definitely something to watch out for, like how the trends will change over the year. Yeah.
Also, I feel like Amrita mentioned about like incomes being going down and like a lot of people suffering locally and nationally. So a lot of support has been coming for individuals, like individual artists, artisans, and like things moving forward. People who like want to support them more to grow what they've probably lost in the past year, and as they return to normalcy, like we're kind of in the stage where we're returning to the new normal. We would like see a lot of support coming from support to those people and included in the upcoming trends.
So Arnab?
I think one change that we'll really see in 2021 will be utility clothing. So there's a lot of clothing that's coming out now with tons of utility, oversized pockets, a lot of end use. So consumers don't want to buy things without a clear-cut utility in them. So that's a huge trend that we're really seeing at the moment. We're also seeing a lot of like volumes being added to silhouettes before that were very fitted. So like we did discuss like how suits are suddenly becoming oversized, and
Yeah.
jeans and trousers and like regular fashion as well is becoming oversized. So it's about how the rest of fashion is going to adapt and provide comfort that streetwear does, and I think that's a huge trend that we'll see carry over for sure. I also think there's going to be a huge shift towards minimalism, because we've had maximalism for the longest time, and it was all about over like tons of prints and really combining prints together. But now I think there's going to be a huge shift towards minimalism, chords, and a lot of tonal clothing. So I think that's another change that we'll see. I don't think that self-expression through clothing's not going to be there. I think it's just going to be toned down a little bit, but people find different ways to express themselves.
So Avicii?
I think I'm seeing like a lot of denim coming, like denim washes, like crazy denim washes coming in. And I think more than that, I feel, because I think this year was supposed to be a year with Euros Cup, with Olympics. So I think next year when everything is coming back, the Euros Cup is coming back, Olympics is coming in. So I feel a lot of jerseys trend will come back. So, like those jerseys, like a sports related fashion will actually come back in place. So I'm pretty excited for that.
Rishabh?
All right. So I think in this year, we haven't experienced the birthdays of fashion, which is the fashion week, as I quote the fashion week as birthdays of fashion, because every time it happens, it's something new that comes up in fashion, right? Just like our birthday. So I guess people are so full of being at home, they're obviously going to spend on the experience. So I guess people are saying that online is there. Yes, online is going to go hand in hand, but just keep yourself in the position where you know that you're not being able to go out for a year, and then suddenly everything goes back to what it was. So obviously people are going to spend in terms of the experience. So when a person should actually enter a retail store, he should experience something nice while buying stuff which he's paying for. And that moment, I guess the consumer will not even hesitate a single time for spending thousands of rupees, just because he got an experience which was very overwhelming with an awesome product, right? So I guess we are obviously going to look for experiences in 2021 where people would love to experience rather than just, buying stuff.
True.
And getting back to the birthdays of Fashion Week, I guess it's going to boom again. And, earlier we were considering fashion, through videos and everything. Fashion Week's going through videos. I guess it's going to continue, but I guess the shorter videos which have taken over the Instagram as well, like
Yeah.
Reels
Yeah.
and IGTV. I guess that's going to be the source of content for people to put out, and people are going to watch the reels, and they're going to DM you through the reels that what's the price of this, that
Yeah.
if a person is just walking from one place to another in that reel wearing your garments, and you're just going to tag this price, and obviously people are going to visit your website or your DM to approach you and ask you how much that garment is for. Secondly, I guess in future we have seen what we are what we are capable of doing on our own, right?
Yeah.
So being craft, being printed, whatsoever, I guess there going to be a new segment which is going to open up for people and for designers as well, for the emerging ones, obviously, because the existing one cannot change their USP, and they cannot, go into from embroidery, they can go into screen printing. So
Yeah.
it's like total U-turn, right? So obviously for the emerging brands who are out there who are still experiencing, like even I'll call myself as an emerging brand. I won't call myself as a settled brand, because even in these 3 years which we have completed, I guess I have been learning through the process, and I'm still learning, and I would like to learn for another 4 5 years till the time I'm called like a proper designer.
Sure.
So I guess in this time span I have the let's say an open segment for me is to experience something that is hand drawn, all right,
Yeah.
something that is being done by me, all by myself, sitting at home. I guess that's going to open another segment, making prints on your Procreate, making prints on your Photoshop, doing all that stuff. So I guess that is going to open up in a better way. And I would second with Arnav as well, that he said that utility is going to be there. I guess he's absolutely correct. People are obviously going to find some or the other pocket to keep their mask and some stuff or the other which they are actually carrying right now. And the approach will be, obviously we cannot actually judge the approach which is going to be there, whether it's going to be too bright and out there, or it's going to be very minimalistic. I guess people are going to decide it when they are going to step out.
True.
So, according to the experience of the people, they are going to decide whether the garments are going to be very bright and expressive for them, or it's going to be minimalistic that just gives out a impression that the person is very calm and subtle in terms of dressing. So that's what the whole idea of 2021 in my head looks like.
Sure. I think as for the experience, it's literally like we are pretty much done with our Netflix and Amazon Primes. Now we want to go back to the theaters, right? It's that sort of an experience that pretty much everyone wants, right? And I think even from a sneaker community perspective, for if there's anyone who's watching this right now, I think Seoul DXB, sneaker cons and stuff like that. We were supposed to. India was called for SneakerCon Singapore. A lot of people were called for there, and we know a lot of people who were supposed to travel all the way to Singapore only for SneakerCon. So and that got done only because of pandemic. So I think that's an experience that everyone would rush towards. So true on that. And now to close out on the session, which has been pretty much amazing. Uh, what can we expect from you guys as individual brands to be coming forward in 2021?
So you want big announcements to be made on this itself?
Let the people listen it out
Saga,
here.
you're creating content for yourself, huh?
Of course, that's my
Sahi hai,
job,
sahi hai.
right?
I guess we'll be seeing two more subline brands from my end. I
Okay.
guess it's in the pipeline, and hopefully it works out. So it's just a vague announcement that I'm making, that yes, there are going to be two sublines which are going to be there, and there's going to be one more thing for the for another segment which will be there. I'll discuss that with you, Sagar.
Yeah.
I guess that we should
No, I
not
got
make
that. I
announcements
got
about
that.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess all of these things are in the pipeline, and let's see. Let's hope for the best, and let's see if this 2021 year goes well. I guess it should for each and every brand out there, for each and every one who's actually trying to experience and bring out a new brand out of their creativity. I guess all the luck to everyone.
Sure. Arnav?
I think from us, you're going to see we're dropping a collection every 3 months. So you're going to see a lot of new storylines, new silhouettes coming out. And we're going to keep exploring and reinventing the brand as we go along and figuring out what we really stand for. So, yeah.
I think after this is going to be like, so first of all, I love your concept of having episodes rather than, drop one, drop two, or whatever you say, season one, season two. I love your concept of episodes. And obviously, eventually, when the lockdown gets done with, I'm sure that we're going to see a lot more from Nogri and Rising Among, right? What's coming in next from Rising Among? Like, let's not talk about the upcoming collection. Let's talk about 2021.
So in 2021, you'll definitely see Rising Among Rising. Like that's
For
going to be the
sure.
year we're going to see us establish ourselves as an Indian brand name, a streetwear brand.
Hopefully, we'll definitely have a website coming up in the upcoming year. We're working on that.
And like as Arnav said, as a new brand, it's very important to test and reinvent as you go. Also, because
Yeah.
you're gonna some things work, some things don't, which has been the case in a lot of our pieces. So in 2021, you'll see a lot of experimentation. You'll see a lot of things that really did well to come back in very new and inventive ways. And yeah, I mean, we're not going to give away too much.
Yeah. Avishi?
So we have, I think it's like my dream project. I think I thought about this inspiration while I was working for my first collection, and I've been holding on to it. I was supposed to do the launch this year, and I've already told what's it about. It's called terrace wear. It's a subculture of streetwear in British, which is related to football. So it is. It has terrace wear and skinheads, which is also like a subculture again, which is related to football. So we were waiting for the Euros Cup to happen this year, so we could launch it along with it. So that's something which is like a dream project for me because it has a lot of upcycling as well. So I'm pretty excited for that. We definitely have our website coming up. So for me, that's like a big thing right now.
Yeah.
So I think I'm looking really forward to the next year, and I really hope how the amount of love we've got in this year also while having COVID. I really hope all of us and that we have that amount of love and and we are able to build this streetwear community very well. So I think Sagar, I really hope you continue doing these. So we can all build up this community bigger and bigger.
I'm gonna try my level best. That's all I can say for now. Yeah. So yeah, I think that was a great session. Thank you so very much for doing this, guys. This really means a lot. So yeah, so first of all, the only idea for us to initiate some sort of, this sort of a session was only and only because, we see a lot of people talking about sneakers, sneaker of the year, this discussion, that discussion, and whatnot. And specifically when it comes to India, there are not a lot of people who are talking about fashion. Sorry. Whenever it's about fashion, people talk about their products, their silhouettes, and that's about it. Right? But I think even for the end consumer, it's really important for them to understand the ideologies behind a brand and to get, to get all the information possible, not just from a consumer perspective, but also from a brand perspective, so that they can also connect with the brand. I think that is something which has been missing. And this is like just one way for us, where we found that we could probably bring that all together. And, obviously we've been trying our level bets through our live sessions and stuff like that, but then having a diverse panel like this really brings a lot of conversation also into it. And I think most importantly, at this point in time where we are sitting, it's the most important thing is having conversations. Rest, everything follows, because once conversation happens, that then only this starts working. We come up with ideas, we get to realize what the potential consumer wants, and the consumer gets to know exactly what the brand is looking forward to. So I think this has been just one way. So yeah, this really means a lot. Thank you so much.
Thank you. all of us, like, I mean, during lockdown, us coming, especially from New York, we would have never had a chance to actually know the people behind the brands that we've been looking at for like a very long time. Like, we've been following each other, we've all known, but like, it's a great experience to see who is the actual person behind the brand. What are they like? What is their fashion like? And
True.
and now it's very clear to actually see what you guys are making and who you guys actually are. Like, there's a very clear connection. That was very inspiring for us to see. And it was like, thank you, Sagar, for organizing this.
Not an issue. There's more coming in for sure. That's all I can say as of now. There's more coming
Hopefully,
in.
we will meet in person too, very, very soon.
Oh, 110%.
Sagar, you should also tell us what are you doing for 2021?
Okay, so there were a lot of plans for 2020. I won't give away much, but then the idea is to diversify, move into other spaces also, and obviously street as a culture. As of now, we are kind of in line with the fashion world, but street as a culture is really diverse. Skate, dancing, hip hop, music, this, that, and whatnot. Everything when it comes to your personal aesthetics, whatever you do becomes a part of the culture. So I think we would like to expand in that space as well. And maybe you might see a couple of events coming in here and there. And definitely the consumers will see all these faces over there at the events. So yeah, that's all I would say to begin with. And rest, let's see. Yeah, so that's been my idea of 2021. I'm not sure how it's going to turn up because as of now it's all in here, but then plans have been made. They are on the paper also, but let's see how the market reconnects and how people are accepting towards coming out, traveling around, and probably meeting. I think meet and greets is something that a lot of people need, a lot of people want, but then
We are
it's just
waiting for that.
yeah, it's just the apprehension of COVID, I think, which is which is people are just holding themselves back. So let's see how the market turns up, and there's gonna be a lot. There's gonna be a lot coming in from streets, and that's all I can say. Yeah, so thank you so much for doing this, guys, and
Thank you so much, man. And
Thank
I would personally wish all the best to Arnav, Avishi, and Rising Among duo.
we
So
wish you
you
lots
guys,
of love and success as well.
because I think you guys are doing really great. No Gray Area is, I guess, one of the brands which I came across personally, and I think it was really amazing to see how he's putting out such amazing creatures in such a minimalistic way. So I was very fascinated about how he has Arnav, can I ask you personally, have you created
Sure,
all
sure.
those prints?
No, we have a full team that works on the graphics and prints.
So your inspiration is from Fantastic Beast and where to find them, I guess somewhere.
yeah,
So
yeah,
no,
I love that.
So actually, our graphic designer, he hand draws the
Okay.
prints, and he went to a temple one day. He's sitting there looking
Okay.
at carvings, and he started sketching it out from there. And he's looking at all these creatures that were kind of carved into a temple. So that's kind of where the whole concept kind of
But really
came
nice.
from.
I personally I loved how the
Thank you
brand
so
is
much.
actually
Thank you.
presenting such amazing, imaginative creatures in such a minimalistic way. Avishi, kudos to
Thank
you
you.
too. You have been into business for a long time. I never knew you were the face behind the brand, and I guess it was vice versa for Natty as well, because I have been very low key
To be
in terms
very
of
honest, a lot of
showing my
people
face.
think Avicii is a guy.
Yeah,
To be
yes.
very honest,
I felt the
a
same.
lot of people, like I always get messages, people asking me, hi, I think Avicii is a guy, and like they literally write these messages to me, so it's very weird.
So I would like to suggest you that keep your neon aesthetic alive for the time you are there, because I guess you know how to use it really well. And
Thank you
Rising
so much.
Among, just like you guys have started and you're going through, I guess you have done really well so far. And keep experimenting with that DIY things that you go ahead with, because I guess that is going to maintain your USP. Saga, you have been been an amazing designer yourself. I
Thank
could
you.
see the street sense merch.
Thank
So
you.
I guess keep doing that, and I guess you are best in terms of putting out the word to the people, to the audience we are actually trying to target to. Because I guess I have always been messaging you as well as soon as you have bought Reebok as well, and I guess you are doing amazing, man. I really love to see you being compared to Hypebeast and creating your own game in India. Because I guess all the best to four of you and five of you, because thank you so much for having this, Sagar, and it means a lot, man. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, so I think that's been enough gesture altogether. That's been a lot. Yeah. So again, thank you so very much, guys, and for everyone who has been watching over here. This is gonna go on YouTube and Instagram everywhere. So yeah, that's how we're gonna connect. So yeah, thank you so very much for pretty much anyone and everyone who has been watching this, and this really means a lot. I hope this whole conversation could just be a little insightful for you guys, and we could add a little bit of value in your lives, and hope this inclines you towards our culture, which is obviously the world of fashion. And yeah, that's pretty much about it. All the brands, all the people, everyone's links gonna be in the description, so make sure you guys connect over there. And thank you for all the love and support that you guys have been sharing with us with Street Sons. There's a lot more, as we've just had we've just talked about. So make sure you keep following us, subscribe, and follow us on Instagram. Take care, guys. Good night, and yeah, just stay safe.